All right, it's time to face what Ian Carroll might call the final boss of Cancel This Clothing Company. Are the grocery aisle videos worth anything? I'll lead with my conclusion, no, not really. So for the past several weeks, I've been talking about Ian Carroll and his channel, Cancel This Clothing Company. We talked about his video showing off his note-taking system, where he showed detailed notes he was taking about this YouTube summary of a book by Stephen Goodson, a noted Holocaust denier. The book is called Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind, and it is essentially a book about how Jewish people were responsible for every bad thing that's happened for the past 2,000 years, starting with the fall of Rome. This book also has a substantial portion about how great the German economy was in the 1930s and 40s because they got rid of all of the international banksters. We talked about how he presents himself on this app as a not left, not right, just asking questions, just exposing the establishment personality. But over here on the text app, he regularly interacts with and promotes far-right personalities like Charlie Kirk, Candace Owen, Laura Loomer, Alex Jones, and even former QAnon conspiracy theorists like his friend Michael Ray Corey. We talked about the hypocrisy of being a channel that supposedly does the deep research and gets to the bottom of who owns what companies and whether they're ethical or not, and really promoting small businesses, founder-owned businesses that, have their hands in their products, while simultaneously promoting Rainforest Coffee Company as an affiliate relationship when they were just a Shopify storefront that used a drop shipper of coffee. Ian at least owned up to this one, and also his defenders take note. Continuing to defend him on that video doesn't make a ton of sense because he admits that he didn't do the research on that, and he has since removed it from his website and from his founder and family-owned business's spreadsheet. And for all the right-wing people who continue to defend him from the right on those videos, you are just proving my point and alienating the very large number of left-of-center people who used to support Ian. But it's to those left-of-center people that I want to talk to today, because there is one extremely common point that I see those people making on those videos, which is they realize that he's right-wing. They realize that he maybe has been a little sleazy. They realize that maybe it's not even just right-wing, it's like outright anti-Semitism. But doesn't he still do a good job of exposing big business? And the answer is mostly no. I think that there are at most two lessons that you can learn from Ian's videos about what's in grocery store aisles without exposing yourself to a toxic pipeline to the right wing. And that's that, one, companies often will try to make products look like they are coming from a small business when they actually aren't. And two, that private equity is a toxic blight on the entire planet. But that is very much not the focus of Ian's grocery store aisle videos. It is this. It is looking at the ownership stakes of all of the companies that have products on grocery store shelves and highlighting if they have ownership from asset managers like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. And this is where Ian's right-wing and conspiracy theorist worldviews collide with the left. It's that he doesn't have a critique of the economic system that produces these companies. He's just pointing at something that he says is bad. And why is it bad? It's bad because of bad actors only. And who are the bad actors in his world? It's all Jewish people. It is all going back to a cabal of Jewish people who control everything. That is his worldview, that a cabal of Jewish people control banks, control the media, control Hollywood, control the music industry, and this is the problem from his perspective, not the economic system. Ian would be perfectly fine with capitalism as it exists in the United States today, as long as these weren't the people who were in charge of it. And the reason that I know that is because he's said it. Someone pointed out to him that the top 1% of Bitcoin owners own 90% of Bitcoin. And what was Ian's response? That's capitalism, baby! Ian is not anti-capitalist in any way, shape, or form. He's anti-globalist. He's anti these types of people being in charge of everything. Having no critique of the economic system, he doesn't know why these kind of common ownership situations could be a bad thing, other than a bunch of conspiracy theorizing about how all of them must be colluding with one another, and all of them are part of a cabal, and they're the ones who are ultimately calling the shots across the entire planet of every bad thing that ever happened. That is what you are signing up to when you are watching those grocery store videos. Like, L'Oreal is bad on the hair product aisle because they're owned by Jewish people, and that and any bad thing that company does is because the evil globalists who ultimately control them decided that they should do that. There are reasonable left of center critiques of these common ownership asset management situations, by the way. One of them is that having common ownership across an industry means that it's much more likely that companies in that industry won't compete with one another, and then prices will remain high. And two, BlackRock and Vanguard each control over $10 trillion worth of stocks, which is mostly mutual funds that are made up of pensions and 401k plans. That's a ton of assets to be in control of. And people like Elizabeth Warren want to designate asset managers like BlackRock as too big to fail, because can you imagine if something happened to BlackRock or Vanguard? The stock market would crash. People's pension funds would be in question. They aren't exactly like a bank, but by controlling that many assets, they probably should face a greater level of scrutiny from regulators. You will never hear that kind of a solution or critique from Cancel This Clothing Company. You will only hear it is bad that big businesses are commonly owned by asset managers and banks because of who is in charge of them. That it is the inherent greed and evilness of these people that causes evilness in the world through big businesses. I don't think big businesses need like some shadowy cabal to be evil and to make bad decisions. This is the fundamental problem with your critique of the grocery store aisle being only that they are owned by banks and asset managers. It is not a critique of capitalism, and it doesn't lead to regulatory solutions, or, as some people much further to the left of me would suggest, eliminating the profit incentive of those companies by adopting socialism or communism. These are not things that Ian is interested in talking about. He only wants to overthrow the people who he thinks is in control of the system right now. From my perspective, as like a fairly normal, just to the left of center person in the United States, I think that capitalism is one of the best systems that humanity has discovered for efficiently creating material goods. Markets and price mechanisms are one of the most efficient mechanisms for allocating those material goods, but they are garbage at equitably allocating resources. And government needs to step in and regulate those industries. It is the profit incentive, it is the structure of capitalism that drives people systemically to make those choices when they are representing capital, not their ethnicity, not their religion, not the shadowy nature of a cabal, not space aliens and extra dimensions and all the other stuff that Ian will talk about on Rumble, but won't talk about on this app. Or you need to overthrow the system and replace it with worker control over the means of production. Those are the solutions from the left. The solutions from the right are more capitalism, less regulation, and when you get far enough right, when you get to where he is, it's all of those things, plus changing who owns what. That is the worldview that you are signing yourself up for when you watch videos like this. But what I am not doing right now is saying all these companies are great and there's no reason to be upset with any of them. I am saying that there are way more reasons, legitimate reasons, to be against big business and to be solutions-oriented, either socialist revolution or at the very least some kind of social democratic regulatory state to rein in the excesses of big business. What Ian wants to do is just point out all the places where a Jewish person possibly was involved in the ownership of a company and blame them for any mistakes that they've ever made. And while he doesn't say it on this app, I think it also leads to a very clear perspective on the solutions to our problems today, eliminating a certain type of people. What other solutions could there be if you think that the only problem with the economy today is that these are the types of people who are in control of it?